What's happening guys, Chris here, and so is that Battlefield 1 June update, which is supposed to be the last one the game is going to receive. And I can safely say that it's a pretty big patch, with lots of stuff to keep us busy for the time being. There's new weapons, a new game mode, tweaks, fixes, and a few other changes too. The update is available to download right now as of June the 27th, so a day after the date it was initially planned to release on. But better late than never, I guess. I'm going to run over everything you need to know about Battlefield 1's final update and let you know how to get hold of those new guns too. But I might as well start off with probably the biggest part of the patch, which is the inclusion of a brand new game mode called Shock Operations. I suppose it isn't exactly massively different to the standard operations mode, but still nevertheless something for us to hop into and enjoy. In case you're wondering what the hell Shock Operations is, it basically plays out like a typical operation, but it's a bit smaller in scale and only takes place on a single map instead of carrying over multiple maps. So for instance, if you were to jump into the Conquer Hell operation that's been in the game right from the very beginning, then you'd start off on Ballroom Blitz, and once the attackers push the defenders back far enough, then you'd be taken to the second map of the operation, which happens to be Argonne Forest, to continue the fight with however many tickets are left over. Well, Shock Operations is slightly different, as the attackers have got 2 waves, or 2 opportunities to win the match, as opposed to 3, and instead of pushing the defenders off the map and into another, the attackers will win the operation if they manage to take over the last section of the map, or the defenders will win if they run down the other team's tickets. Vehicles and stuff are still going to be accessible on Shock Operations, and if the attacking team loses the first wave, then they'll be rewarded with either a bunch of elite class pickups or a behemoth depending on the map, just like in some of the standard bigger operations. But games only have a maximum player count of 40, so basically 2 teams of 20, which is actually a pretty decent amount of players for matches to have, without them feeling too chaotic and clustered, a problem that even some of the normal operations seem to have sometimes. And the attacking team has less tickets than in the normal mode too, just so matches don't drag on too long, also making things a bit fairer for the defenders. There's a total of 5 maps that are compatible with the new Shock Operations game mode, and you'll be pleased to know that they're all maps that aren't already included in any normal operations, so this gives us more operations to play around in. And the maps chosen all seem to translate over to the slightly smaller but still very fast paced Shock Operation game mode quite nicely. The 5 maps include Giant's Shadow, Brise de Terreur, Luc Pau Pass, Zeebrugge and River Somme. And the Zeebrugge matches actually start off with the attacking team advancing on the ball from the water, just like what happened in real life during the Zeebrugge raid, which is a nice feature. First impressions of the game mode is pretty good. The Shock Operations are short and sweet, having the same frantic attack and defend structure that we love from the normal operations mode, and despite the matches being smaller in scale, they actually feel very similar to what we're used to, and still rely on good team play and tactics to win the match. They're also much better to hop into if you haven't got as much time on your hands, and you can't afford to play a match which could last well over an hour. Games are over a bit quicker, but they're still usually long enough to feel like you're fighting in a big battle, and once the match is over, you'll swiftly move on to another Shock Operation, to give you a new fight in a completely different setting. In a way, I sort of like the idea of Shock Operations, probably even a little bit more so than normal operations, due to the fact that maps aren't getting neglected as much, with them being part of their own individual operation, as opposed to being the second part of a single operation, which often doesn't get played as much, with the defending team often winning the match within the first map. Though the larger scale normal operations still have more of a full-on war kind of feel to them, and they probably seem a bit more rewarding to win, with them having a longer duration. Though both operation game modes are still a load of fun, and I'd definitely suggest trying out that new Shock Operations the next time you play. And if you don't have Premium, then you don't need to worry, because Shock Operations on all of the maps I've mentioned are available for everyone to play, even if you don't have the DLC. So anyway, moving on from Shock Operations, let's talk a bit more about those new weapons and variants that came along in the update too. The main gun in the patch, which is probably the one that a lot of players are going to be trying to unlock over the next few weeks, is a brand new weapon called the Burton LMR for the support class. There's 2 variants of the gun, with the first one you'll need to unlock being the Trench, and the second one being the Optical. And it kind of feels like the support's version of the Automatico, as it's got a faster than average fire rate of 830 RPM, but its bullets aren't quite as deadly, and it's also got the ability to use incendiary ammo, for dealing more damage to planes and airships too. I'm going to go over the Burton LMR in loads of detail with all the stats and stuff in my upcoming in-depth guide, so make sure you keep an eye out for that one coming out pretty soon. The Trench variant is going to have better hipfire stats, whilst the Optical variant is going to have better spread whilst aiming down sights. And thankfully, both guns aren't too hard to get hold of, though you'll have to go for that Trench variant first and foremost, and basically get yourself 50 defender kills. This is pretty easy, and can be done by simply guarding a flag you've already captured by staying within the capture zone, and just kill enemies whilst you're within said zone. It doesn't matter if the target is outside of the capture zone, so long as you're in it, killing them will count as a defender kill. And this can be done on quite a lot of different game modes like Conquest, Operations, and even Domination. I got this one done in Domination due to it having faster spawn times, and with all the action taking place in a relatively smallish area. But just pick a game mode with flags that you can defend, and you should be able to get that trench variant of the Burton fairly easily. As for the Optical variant, you're going to need to equip that trench variant you've just unlocked, and get 50 kills with it, which can be done in the game mode of your choice. Very straightforward. But as for the second assignment of the unlock, you'll also need to resupply 100 different allies, and the key word here is different. This means that it's going to take multiple matches to eventually unlock, as you can't just simply give the same guy ammo packs over and over again, as you need to resupply different players. It might take a bit longer to complete this one, but it's still not exactly a very hard thing to do. And if you're playing as the support class and resupplying your team with ammo, which is what you really should be doing whilst playing support, then you'll eventually get this one done and dusted without even really thinking about it. Now, although the Burton LMR is the big weapon of the patch, which everyone is talking about, there's still a few other cool new guns to check out here that can be unlocked or equipped straight from the get-go too. There's now yet another version of the M1911 pistol made available for all classes, and this is the M1911 Silenced, which is basically an M1911 with a suppressor on. Nothing really all that mind-blowing, but still a nice addition to the game. It's not getting any statistical changes from the standard version as far as I know, but it's unsurprisingly going to be quieter when fired, and it's also going to generate less muzzle flash too, making it a stealthier option when you're behind enemy lines and don't want to give your position away due to the sound of the gun, so it definitely has more benefits than the standard version from my point of view. Another new variant that came along in the update is the Annihilator Storm, which surprisingly feels more effective than you'd probably think. I actually like the new Storm variant quite a lot. But unlike the M1911 Silenced, you'll need to complete a couple of tasks to unlock it first. You can get the Annihilator Storm by performing 50 kills with the Annihilator Trench, and you'll also need to get 10 kills with the Sickle melee weapon too. As far as I can tell, it functions in a similar way to the other Storm variants, with the gun having a better recoil pattern, though it's not going to have the same hipfire accuracy benefits that the Trench variant has either, so I guess it depends on your playstyle whether it's worth unlocking and using for yourself. Another big thing regarding weapons is the fact that those tanker pilot guns are now available for the assault and support classes, which is pretty awesome because I made a video about this a while ago how they should be made more accessible, with the concept of them possibly being added to the other classes. And it's nice to see that DICE have actually gone ahead with this, meaning that the tanker pilot guns can finally now be used in general infantry combat, even if they are a little bit underpowered when compared to a lot of the other primary weapons. Certain tanker pilot guns have been allocated to either the assault or support classes, due to them fitting in more with their style and function. So the From a Stop Auto and Sawed Off Shotgun have been put into the assault class, which kinda makes sense due to their nature. And the others, like the POA Artillery, M1911 Extended, and the C96 Carbine, can now all be used by the support class. So expect to see those tanker pilot guns popping up a bit more so in games from now on. Now there's also been a pile of fixes and tweaks to the base game, along with some of the weapons, and I'm going to run over those weapon changes first before getting into the other stuff. One of the biggest things to point out is that the General EU rifle has now been given its bolt action mode, which essentially transforms the gun into a bolt action rifle when activated. Another pretty big change is to the RSC SMG, which was often deemed as a bit of an underpowered weapon that needed more range, to be a better competitive choice to pick over the other assault guns. So its free hit kill range has now been extended from 12 meters to 20, making it much more reliable within those closer proximities. A few other notable things to mention is the fact that you'll now gain some extra points for interrupting a vehicle attempting to self-repair. You can now adjust the squad mate's HUD outline visibility, and the likelihood of getting stuck waiting in a queue to join a match has now been reduced. But apart from a bunch of bug fixes and smaller improvements, that's about it as far as the main stuff goes. I'd suggest checking out the full list of patch notes on Battlefield's main website if you want to know which bugs have been amended, but that's pretty much all of the important stuff you really need to know about the update. Like I said before, I'm going to be working on that Burton LMR review, which should be coming out sometime soon, so stay posted if you want to check that out. Subscribe for loads of other Battlefield videos right here on my channel, and give me a like if the video helped you out. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.